Cat Olive.
No, test base.
Yes. No, I'm sorry.
Let's go for test base.
What am I doing here? Cat base. I'm sorry. I had the tissue in the. I took the cat base. You said
Test base.
test base. What do I have? I can't over here. Oh, I took it out while we were talking and I wasn't paying attention. Test base. Here we are. Okay, now I got it. Okay. A Nazir who shaved, and it then became known to him that he was Tameh. If it was due to a known tumah, he forfeits. If it was due to a tumah of the depths, he does not forfeit. If he had not yet shaved when it became known to him, then regardless of which tumah it was, he forfeits. How so? If he's ascended into a cave to immerse himself, because someone Tameh is presumed to remain Tameh. No, that's wrong. I skipped the page, right? If he is Tameh, because someone Tameh is presumed to remain Tameh, while someone Tahor is presumed to remain Tahor, for the matter is indicated. Someone who finds a corpse for the first time lying in its usual manner may remove it along with the surrounding earth. If he found two corpses, he may remove them along with the surrounding earth. If he found three, if the distance between this one and that one is 4 to 8 cubits, it is a graveyard zone, and he must search there outward a distance of 20 cubits. If he found one at the end of 20 cubits, he searches from there outward a distance of 20 cubits. So the matter is indicated, although he had found it at first, he would have removed it together with the surrounding earth. A doubt concerning afflictions of Tsras at the outset is Tahor as long as it has not been confirmed to be Tameh. Once it has been confirmed to be Tameh, a doubt is ruled to be Tameh. And a Zav is checked in 7 ways as long as he has not been confirmed to be Tameh from Ziva, concerning food, drink, carrying a load, jumping, illness, sight, and thought. Once he has been confirmed to be Tameh from a Ziva, we do not examine him. His mishap or his doubts because of his signal discharge are Tameh since the matter is indicated. If someone struck his fellow and they assessed that.
What?
That was it, right? Okay, sorry.
All right, Nazir Haya Shmuel. So Shmuel Hanavi.
Wait, are you sure? Sure, I have a continuing.
What do you have?
I have a continuing since the matter is indicated. It says if someone struck his fellow and they.
Oh, I beg your pardon. You're right. You're right. I thought you reached the end of the Mishnah. Sorry.
If someone struck his fellow and they assessed that he would die, his condition improved from what it had been. After that, it worsened and he died. The attacker is liable. When the Chemie says he is exempt for the matter is indicated. Okay.
Okay, now I'll take it. All right. Nazir Haya Shmuel. Shmuel was a Nazir. K'divrei Rabbi Nehorai. Shneimar umora lo yale al roshad, which is mora is a razor. They had their haircuts with by shaving their heads. So the Demar b'Shimshon, and similarly it says about Shimshon umora that a razor should not go on his head. Okay, and we know for sure that Shimshon was a Nazir. He's the classic case of the Nazir. Okay, the Demar b'Shmuel. Umora, and it says about Shmuel Mora, Ma Mora b'Shimshon Nazir, Af Mora Ha Mora b'Shmuel Nazir. So since it's Mora lo yalel rosho, that seems to be a very clear indication that just like if the same lashon was used for Shimshon, then Shmuel is also Nazir. Amar Rabbi Yossi, v'halo ein Mora ela shel bas havadam. He's saying no, Mora is not a razor. You're reading it wrong. It's like Yiras Shamayim, Mora, that he should never have any fear from anyone. And that's when we're talking about Shimshon, that he should never have any fear of anyone. And with Shmuel, they said, and he should never have any fear of anyone. So it's nothing to do with Naziris, suggests Rabbi Yossi. Amalo Rabbi Norai, V'alo kvar ne'emar v'yom Shmuel eich elech v'shema Shaul v'hargani. But it turns out that Shmuel actually did have fear. He had fear of Shaul because he said, if I then Shaul will find out and he'll kill me. So in that case, what you're saying is that the bracha that Hannah gave to her son was not fulfilled. Come on. Sorry, you can't use that explanation. Therefore, we must conclude that Shmuel actually was a Nazir. Padran alaf masefes Nazir. Okay, Sotah. Okay, so
So-
we know what a Sotah is. We don't need to
Right,
go
right.
through all the background. It's basically just a quick refresher that there are a couple of stages to this. The first thing is that when the um, husband becomes jealous of another man, and he thinks his wife is spending too much time with her, he gives her a formal warning. He says that you may not seclude yourself with such a person. Not that she was ever really allowed to. Look, Din Torah, Yichud is a Din Torah actually, but the warning adds something to the story, which enables the beginning of the Sotah process. Okay, so there's first what's it called, the kina. What's it? It's not the kina. It's called.
The warning?
The warning. I was just looking for the term in Hebrew. So I've gone blank on how do you conjugate the thing. Makane. Okay, what is Makane? He's Makane her. He warns her, and then there's Stira. Okay.
When you mention formal warning, when I think of someone getting a formal warning, like if you were at work or something formal, they would send you a letter. They would give
It's
you a
kind of
letter.
like that. There is a formality to it. It's not just like he says, "I don't like this." He's got to say, "You may not do not do this," and then she goes ahead and does it. She goes and secludes herself. So then you've got stira, and you've got and once you have Adam on the stira, then she becomes asa to him. Until she goes through the whole sort of process. The only thing that can
It's a verbal warning. It's a verbal warning then.
Yes, it's a verbal warning. Okay. Now the question that we're going to be talking about in the first Mishna is how formal does this warning have to be? So it starts with Hamakane la ishto. Somebody warns his wife. Rabbi Eliezer omer makane la al pishnayim. He has to warn her in front of two witnesses. Umashke al pi eid echad or al pi atzma. And he says, so the warning has to be in front of two people, but and after he's warned her formally, then you don't even need two witnesses if she secludes herself with him. It's anyone. You just need one witness. Even the husband herself sees her going into seclusion with this other man, and now she becomes asa to him as a sotah, and she can only become permitted again until once she goes through drinks the water.
Okay. I find it very interesting because you would think on such a formal, not formal, but for such an important thing that he would want to have a bezdin, not just himself, as the
Well,
witness.
that's another thing. You do have the witnesses at the warning.
Right, but I mean drinking the water itself. I mean this.
The drinking the water here. The drinking the water is done in the base of Mikdash.
Right. So there are other people around.
But
right.
the action of the witnessing of the seclusion, that is what Rabbi Eliezer is saying you only need one witness, including the husband himself, in order to make her chayav as a sotah. Okay.
Yeah, I see. I turned it around a little bit a different way. I see it now. Okay.
Rabbi Yeshua So Rabbi Yeshua says the warning, he agrees, the warning has to be in front of two witnesses, but also the stira has to be in front of two witnesses, otherwise it's not okay. Okay.
Okay.
And let's just see if there's any points that I missed in the commentary. Yeah, that's right. There was a point inside here about the fact that there's another opinion also in Rabbi Eliezer, which says that it's the other way. So there's another gersa in Rabbi Eliezer, which is that his position is reversed, that you only need one witness to the warning. In fact, that the husband himself. So he could privately be warning his wife about this, and then you need two witnesses to the stira. So therefore, the Gemara says there's a chashash that maybe that is the halacha that like Rabbi Eliezer according to Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda, which means that a husband has to be very careful not to warn his wife about anyone in private, because now that we don't have a Beis Hamikdash, if she ever does seclude herself to him, then there's no way she will immediately become
Right.
your husband, and there's no exit because there's no Sotah. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Ketzat Mekanela. So what does he do in order to warn her? Amar la. It's called kinoi, right? That's the term. So how does kinoi work? He says to her in front of two witnesses, according to the opinions that were stated in the previous Mishnah, everyone agrees that it's in front of two witnesses. Al tadabri im ish ploni. Do not speak with Fred. Okay, but Dibra, and she went and spoke to him. That's nothing. Speaking is not what the Torah is talking about. Okay, she should probably listen to her husband, but if he goes ahead and she goes ahead and talks to this guy, it's nothing. Okay, so she's still allowed to return to her husband, and if she's married to a Kohen, she's allowed to eat truma, no problem. However, if she goes into private with Fred, and she stays in there with him long enough to become defiled, then from that time she is prohibited to return to her husband, and if she's married to a Kohen, she is not allowed to eat truma. And if at this stage, whilst she's now become a Sotah, and if at this stage her husband dies, leaving childless, and now he's got a brother to do yibum, she cannot do yibum because she was asked to her own husband, and once she's asked to her husband, she also can't do yibum. However, she doesn't still need to get chalitza because there's the possibility that she didn't defile herself, and therefore she must have chalitza to allow her to remarry. Okay.
If she did, and the punishment was on her. Punishment was on her. Now that this is what's going to happen to her. If she marries, she can marry someone else, even though he knows this is going to happen. Correct?
But no, she's still married. She's still married all the time. She's a Sotah. She's married. She's just asked her to.
I mean, it says if he dies, if the husband dies.
If he dies,
she goes.
Yeah. So now she's a Yavama. So she needs chalitza before she's allowed to remarry. Assuming that she had no children. But if the husband did have children, then she is allowed to remarry immediately.
Okay. All right.
Well, after 3 months, because that's another technicality. Okay, back to Nazir.
Right.
Hey.
Back to Nazir?
Hey, yeah.
Okay. Hey, base. The gold dinner that comes up in my hand shall be
hey. Nazir, hey.
Yep. I can't be.
Because we didn't do all the chazaras yesterday and had to leave quickly.
Oh, all right. If there were people walking on the road and someone was coming toward them and one of them said, I am a Nazir, that this is so-and-so, and another said, I am a Nazir, that this is not so-and-so. I am a Nazir, that one of you is a Nazir, that one of you is not a Nazir. That two of you are Nazirim, and all of you are Nazirim, and Beit Shammai says they are all Nazirim, and Beit Hillel says no one is a Nazir except he whose words are not fulfilled. Reb Tarfon says not one of them is a Nazir. If he turned back suddenly, he is not a Nazir, and Reb Shimon says he should say, if it was as I said, I am a Nazir by previous obligation, if not, I am a Nazir voluntarily. If he saw a koi and said, I am a Nazir that this is a wild animal, and I am a Nazir that this is not a wild animal, I am a Nazir that this is a domestic animal, and I am a Nazir that this is not a domestic animal. I am a Nazir that this is both a wild animal and a domestic animal. I am a Nazir that this is neither a wild nor a domestic animal. I am a Nazir that one of you is a Nazir, and I am a Nazir that one of you is not a Nazir. I am a Nazir that all of you are Nazirim, all of them are Nazirim. Wow. Okay.
Okay.
Nadar? Yes?
Yeah, we're in the Darin Vav base.
Vav base. Okay. One who makes a neder prohibiting something prepared in a pot is forbidden only a boiled food. If he said, Kohanim, what goes into a pot, with respect to my tasting it, he is forbidden whatever is cooked in a pot. If he prohibited to preserve food, he is forbidden only preserved vegetables, preserved food with respect to my tasting. He is forbidden all preserved foods. For seed food, he is forbidden only seed food. Seed food with respect to my tasting, he is forbidden all seed foods. The roast, he is forbidden only roasted meat. These are the words of Rabbi Yehuda. The roast with respect to my tasting, he is forbidden all roasted foods. The salted food, he is forbidden only salted fish. Salted food with respect to my tasting, he is forbidden all salted foods. Okay. Excuse me 1 second, please, Joan. If I once said Kohanim fishes with respect to my tasting, he is forbidden then them, whether large or small, whether salted or unsalted, whether raw or cooked, and he has permitted hash, taras, and brine. One who makes a neder prohibiting assorted hash fish is forbidden hash, taras, but permitted brine and fish juice. And one who makes a neder prohibiting the hash, taras, is forbidden brine and fish juice. I'm just going to close the store. Okay. One who makes a neder prohibiting the milk. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Aleph base. Right?
Aleph, actually.
Right. Aleph?
Base Aleph.
Base Aleph.
Yes.
Why is this all wrong? I don't understand.
Because yesterday we didn't do that.
Base Aleph. Correct? Okay. If he performed Mamar with her and then died, the second requires Kalitza, but may not be taken in Yibum. If there were two brothers and one of them died, and the second one then performed Yibum with his brother's widow, subsequently another brother was born and then he died, the first is discharged as the wife of his non-contemporaneous brother, and the second as her co-wife. If he performed Mama with her and then died, the second requires Kalitza, but may not be taken in Yibum. Reb Shimon says he may perform Yibum with whichever of them he wishes, or perform Kalitza, whichever of them he wishes. A general principle was stated concerning the Yavama. Anyone prohibited because of Erva neither performs Kalitza nor is taken in Yibum. If her prohibition is by commandment or because of sanctity, she requires Kalitza, but may never taken in Yibum. If her sister is her fellow Yavama, she may either perform Kalitza or be taken in Yibum. That's it. I don't understand. I had this all set up right, I thought. Okay. Bikurim. I'm not going to say a word.
All right, thank you, Mom.
I must have really been asleep because I went through this yesterday on your chart to make sure that I had it all right for today. I must have really been out. Base Gimel, okay. There are some that apply to Truma and Maisa, but not to Bikurim. Truma and Maisa render forbidden threshing floor. Have a prescribed quantity applied to all produce when the temple exists and when the temple does not exist, to tenants, lessees, sikronin, konin, and robbers. These apply to Truma and to Maser, but not to Bikurim. And there are some that apply to Bikurim and not to Truma and Maisa. Bikurim are required while attached to the ground, and a person may render his whole field Bikurim, but if he is responsible for them, then they require an offering, singing, waving, and spending the night. Truma Maisa is like Bikurim in two ways, and like Truma in two ways. It may be taken from the clean for the unclean and from that which is not nearby, like Bikurim, and it renders forbidden the threshing floor and has prescribed quantity like Truma.
Okay.
Guys, be quiet back there. Okay, Para. Yeah, I have hey yes.
I've got that base. You just didn't move it.
Love base. If the consecration ashes were floating on top of the water, Rameir and Rem Shimshon may say he may take the ashes, consecrate, and make katas with them. But the Kachamim say any ashes that touch the water, one may not consecrate and make katas with them. If there were sprinkled, if he sprinkled the consecrated water and found consecrated ashes at the bottom, Rameir and Reb Shimon say he may dry them and consecrate mekatas with them. But the Kachamim say any ashes that have touched the water, one may not consecrate mekatas with them. Regarding one who is consecrating mekatas in a trough, and there is a tefi bottle in the trough, even though the mouth of the tefi bottle is extremely narrow, the water within it is consecrated. If there was a sponge in the trough and the water within the sponge is invalid, what should he do? He should pour out the water in the trough until he reaches the sponge. If he touched the sponge, even though the water is floating above it in any amount, the water is invalid. And if one positions his hand or his foot or vegetable leaves so that the water should pass over into the barrel, the water is invalid. If he positioned the reed leaves or walnut leaves, the water is valid. These are the general rule. If it's something that is susceptible to truma, it is invalid. If it is something that is not susceptible to truma, it is valid.
Okay.
Going on to a new one tomorrow.
Finally,
what we starting? I'm sorry.
That's about him now, yeah.
Okay. No, I mean, what are we doing after we finish Para? There's a second verse.
Are we finishing Para tomorrow? No, we're not. It's the two volumes of Para.
There's a second part. There's a second part. Okay. Should I say above Dalit?
Yes.
Okay.
Well done.
Thank you. How was the service of the bird katas performed? He would perform maliga on his head opposite the back of the skull without separating, and he would sprinkle the blood upon the wall of the altar. The remainder of the blood would drain beyond the base. The altar receives only its blood, while all of it goes to the Kohanim. How was the bird Ola offered? If he ascended the ram, turned to its surrounding ledge, and arrived at the southeast corner, he would perform malika on his head opposite the back of the skull and separate and drain its blood upon the altar wall. He would then take the head and bring its incision up against the altar, saturate it with salt, and throw it upon the fires. He would then come to this body and remove the crop and the feathers and entrails which were attached to it and throw them to the place of the ashes. He would rend them and not separate. However, if he separated it, it is valid. If he would then saturate it with salt and throw it upon the fires. If he did not remove the crop or the feathers or the entrails which are attached to it, or he did not saturate it with salt, any deviation he makes after he drains his blood. He's in, thank you. Okay, my wife got him in. Levin's is valid. Okay, send them out again. Send them out again. If he separated the bird katos and did not separate the bird ola, he has invalidated it. If he drained the blood of the head but did not drain the blood of the body, it is invalid. But if he drained the blood of the body but did not drain the blood of the head, it is invalid.
It is. No, you read the last word wrong.
It is valid. It is valid. Right.
Okay, I'm done.
All right. I hope I got you in on time. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I never said that.
Shabbos.
Have a great Shabbos. Enjoy. Keep cool. Thank you.